Hey, this is Matt once again. We're about to the videos. They're the paid requests. It's time for Joseph. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for St. Ives, a 1976 film starring Charles Bronson. And I believe it was the first film he did with J. Lee Thompson. I could be wrong. Now, J. Lee Thompson, he did a lot of films I ended up enjoying. Firewalker, which is my favorite Chuck Norris movie. And he worked with Charles Bronson a lot, and I think did some of Bronson's best movies. 10 to Midnight, Evil That Men Do, Murphy's Law. Those would definitely be in my... all three of them would probably be in my top 5 Bronson movies. Now, this one, if you go in expecting a Bronson action film, you don't be disappointed. It's not that. It's a decent film at the end of the day. I would never watch it again. It was worth one watch, though, but I would never see it again. Bronson plays a crime reporter who's trying to get a book written, and one thing leads to another. He gets hired to look for these ledgers, and pretty much he wanders around looking for these ledgers, looking up names, and each time he gets somewhere, someone ends up dead or dying. And as people are knocked off one by one, he's kind of thinking, what am I going to be next? So it's a little bit of a mystery, a bit of a trying to be film noir, a little bit that type of picture. One interesting thing was the cast of recognizable people. His lawyer, that sadly we only see at the beginning of the movie, is Michael Lerner, who I remember as Mayor Ebert in the 1998 Godzilla film, which he was named after Roger Ebert. And there's a point that I think he does a thumbs up or something. Actually, as a mayor, he does like this. He appeared quite a few other stuff, Michael Lerner. Other people, the guy who hires him to find the ledger, $10,000 to find it. The guy who hired is John Houseman, which he's the old guy telling the story to the kids at the beginning of John Carpenter's The Fog. He was sort of the main human bad guy in the original Rollerball with James Caan. He was also in this film that I enjoy that's underrated, sadly only on VHS, Murder by Phone with Richard Chamberlain. John Houseman, very established, older actor. Definitely brings some class to the proceedings. Also, a very young Robert Englund and Jeff Goldblum, which Jeff Goldblum was in another Bronson film, Death Wish. And he comes back here to play another hoodlum. Him, Robert Englund, and his third guy are hoodlums that assault Bronson, try to steal his money, but he only has like $50. Then they try to throw him down an elevator shaft, but he's able to try to grab one of them, holds on, gets down the elevator shaft, fights these guys, and beats the hell out of Robert Englund and Jeff Goldblum. So it's funny if you took this and edited in the Death Wish, you could say, yeah, he got he got Jeff Goldblum from Death Wish. He got his revenge. So it was cool to see early roles from them. They don't really have much dialogue. I think Robert Englund has a little bit of dialogue. Goldblum, not so much. Maybe a line or two, but like I said, it's nice to see them very early in their careers. Let's see. This guy who's kind of a police captain who is friends with Bronson, because at times Bronson keeps getting picked up by the cops, and this guy helps him. Oh, he's fine, he's cool, you can let him go. That guy is Dana Elcar, probably mispronounced his name. He was MacGyver's boss and best friend on the original MacGyver TV show with Richard Dean Anderson. Well, I knew he looked familiar, so that was nice to see him. He does a good job. And there's a few other people. There's two cops that kind of keep messing with Bronson, and I recognize him. One of them is Harris Yulin. I might have got his name wrong. He was in Al Pacino's film Scarface. He was also in Ghostbusters 2. He was the judge. I gave him the chair. The Scoleri brothers. Why you just tell me you don't believe in ghosts? And Bill Murray's like, you're next, pal. So I always remember him as the judge. He's been in a lot of stuff. But it's like, it's Judge from Ghostbusters 2. And the other guy, I believe he was a cop in some of the Dirty Harry films. That was kind of in The Office. Not Dirty Harry's partner, but kind of in the head office. I think he was in that. So yeah, it was nice to see some of these recognizable people. And then the backdrop of it. The proceedings. Like I said, if you're going to action, it's not much action. There's not much Bronson kicking ass, taking names. Like I said, the little bit with the three hoodlums. Which honestly seems like you could cut that scene out. Because it doesn't really relate to the plot. It's just... I don't know if they really mentioned that they were hired to beat up Bronson. It just seemed like they're just trying to steal his money and then he only had like $50. If it was inferred that they were hired by some other, then I missed that part. Early on, he goes to his laundromat for this beating because he's supposed to bring this money to switch to get these ledgers that John Houseman needs. But then he finds like a body in the laundromat, and immediately the cops are there to pick him up, and that's when he's got to explain his case, and his buddy gets him out of there. There's a bit where he's getting his car fixed up, and he's talking to his buddy. His buddy nods, and someone pulls out a machine gun and shoots at the car. But then you realize that the car is bulletproof. I do like Bronson coming out and smacking the guy in the face. Because you didn't tell me ahead of time, and you scared the shit out of me. So, which the guy deserves. He's like, you're right, personal safety is important. At one point, the ledgers get returned, but there's a couple pages missing, and so pretty much more folks get killed. At one point, Bronson is shot at. At one point, he tries to meet someone, goes up an elevator, but by the time he's in the elevator, the guy takes a Peter Pan right out of the window. And he gets found by the cops again. He just let go again. There's a point where they meet some folks at a drive-in theater. And then you kind of get these little twists and turns as to who's who and who's really doing all this. It's one of those scenes where it's not a bad film. I don't think it was a bad movie. I can't say it was the most interesting flick because I can't really say Bronson's character really used any type of skills as a reporter. It's kind of like he's told, he goes one place, he goes one place. It's kind of almost as if he's being pulled around like a puppet. He goes over here, he goes over here, he does over here, but it doesn't really seem like he affects the story. It just feels like the story would have played out without him in it, for the most part, until the end of the film. So that's the thing, it doesn't seem like he has like a driving force to be reckoned with. Whether, again, his intellect or his reportive instincts or any of the sort. And, again, when you don't have a lot of excitement, like I said, the few bits is, again, that fake out where you think he's getting shot in his car. Which, by the way, they set up that the car's bulletproof, but that never comes back into play. You think, okay, his car's bulletproof, so there's going to be another scene where he gets shot at in the car and it's going to result in like a car chase. Or something to that effect where he's in a car that's bulletproof and it's going to be some type of chase, some type of sequence that, oh, thank God I got this bulletproof car. No, he that really never comes back into play. It's like he didn't really need to have a bulletproof car. Like I said, nothing really comes of that. There's a lady, is it Jacqueline Bisset, who thankfully they don't go too far into a romance department, which wasn't needed. They do a little bit, but not too much, which I'm thankful for. Because not every movie needs a in-depth love story. But that's what I mean. Other than some of the supporting characters, like again, I like the guy from MacGyver's buddy, MacGyver's boss. I liked him in this. I liked his kind of easy back and forth with Bronson. You could tell they've been friends for a while. I like that rapport between those two. Like I said, I like seeing the other actors. Like, oh, I recognize him. I recognize him. Let's say it was cool. See a very early Robert Englund and Jeff Goldblum, and them working together. Sadly, they don't get to talk to each other, interact. It's just they're barely used to any effect, because no one knew who these guys were at the time. So that's why. But like I said, there's not a lot of excitement. It's not a lot of intrigue. I wouldn't say the stories that I guess I already stole the line. Intriguing. Okay, it's about ledgers. And at the end of the day, it's about money. Because at the end of the day, spoilers, full spoilers. They do the Bronson, John Houseman, and the girl are at the drive-in to do this meeting with these two guys with masks on. There's a bit of a scuffle. I can't really call it a chase. It's very briefly. They stop the car. Bisset, she shoots the two. And you find out they're the two cops. The judge from Ghostbusters 2 and the other guy. So they're dirty cops. They get the ledger. They go back. They think everything's fine. But they go, well, wait a minute. Something's off. These cops were somewhere else. They couldn't have been the ones that killed this other guy. And then Maximilian Schell, who I remember from the Disney live-action movie The Black Hole. He was a human villain in that. He pops up. And he is like a psychologist to John Houseman. But then I don't know if they were going with the fact that he was in love with him too. Because he does literally say, I loved you and I admired your devious intellect. So I guess that they went with the whole, I guess, gay thing? Which maybe that was apparent and it just slipped out of my mind. If so, I apologize. But then he shoots John Houseman. Bronson escapes, hides in the bush, shoots Maximilian Schell, who falls to the pool and dies, gets the gun on her. He had called his buddy, the guy from MacGyver, to come by. That guy's going to arrest her. Apparently that girl also used to be a cop back in the day. Bronson says goodbye to his buddy as the guy calls in the other cops. Kind of walks off, and then the movie's over. So it's not some big explosive ending. It's not some big chase sequence. Like I said, you would compare to their later work, The Evil That Men Do, 10 to Midnight, Murphy's Law. There's a lot more excitement in those finales. Even Death Wish 4, which was another J. Lee Thompson, Bronson collaboration. Out of the ones I've seen them together, like director and star, this is probably my least favorite. But like I said, I didn't hate it because, like I said, Charles Bronson does have that leading man, badass, macho gravitas to him. He doesn't seem like a wimp or a pussy, and like I say, he doesn't kick as much ass as other movies, but he's still a nice presence to have as your lead. It was nice to see what other character actor he would meet along his journey, or who's the next person he'll find dead. Oh, this guy's been stabbed in the stomach. This guy fell out of a window or thrown out a window. But I say that I just wish the mystery was a bit more intriguing. If it wasn't just these ledgers. If there's, I don't know, something else, something more sinister or something more dangerous, something more. Well, people are dying is dangerous, but something more, maybe a bigger plot, bigger story, bigger threat. If we saw a bit more of Bronson using his investigative skills of, oh, this is why he was a great crime reporter, because he did this and this and this. You don't really get that. And again, the certain things are kind of set up and not really showcased. Again, what's the point of having a car that's bulletproof if that never gets utilized later on? So again, at the end of the day, it's a decent film if you're a Charles Bronson fan. Like I said, I appreciate they didn't go full force with a love story. You know, that was, again, would seem typical. Some of the rapport he has with the cops, I didn't mind that. I do like the final rapport between him and his buddy, where they're thinking about taking the money, but then like, it's expensive being honest. Yeah, it is. Because there's like $3-4 million there, but neither of them take it because it'd be wrong to do. As I say, it's expensive being honest. I like that line. And I thought those two worked the best. And I kind of wish would have seen more of those two together, Bronson and Dana Elcar. I thought they were my favorite part of the movie. Because again, I bought that they were friends for a long time. So, like I said, I kind of wish we saw more of that. As for the twist, it's like, okay, it's Maximilian Schell. Alright. I mean, I figured it'd be the girl was the bad guy, so I was half right. She was the bad guy. But also this other guy was the bad guy as well, so. Yeah. Take that for you well. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.